We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And I have some amazing hosts with me today. I have Alina from Poland, and her heart's in Africa. I have Jackie Zaccoli from Arizona, and her heart is global. And really, a lot of Africa is in her heart. And then I have Maria from the UK. And oh my goodness, she's creating boreholes in Kenya. And then I have Chinere, and Chinere is from California, and she is in Africa doing some amazing things also. And I'm Carol Witt, and I am the founder and director for YEA. And we have an amazing guest today. I cannot wait to hear her story. Dr. Krill, please come join us.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be surrounded by powerful women. Thank you so much, Jackie, for inviting me. And I'm here to, see if we can empower more and more people around the world. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, so share your story with us.
All right. So I have been in education for a long time, 30 years, and this was always my passion. I started teaching very young. My first experience as a teacher was when I was 15. I was a ballet teacher at that time. I started teaching young kids. I love dancing. Uh, and later on, when I was, after that, I started teaching private classes. And my life went on and on in schools. I worked as an administrator. And then I decided to study psychology because I really was very intrigued about the teaching world and the importance to understand the brain. Because for me, I was not a very good student. And what intrigued me, it was so in some classes I was an A student, in some classes I was a D student, right? And I kept asking myself why some teachers, and it literally did not matter. It could be A student in math for first grade, and then on my third grade, I was an F student in math, right? So I really started noticing that the teachers had so much power uh, among us, right? They could really influence our love or dislike about a subject. So I was really intrigued about psychology. I started studying psychology. And on 2 weeks before I graduated, I finalized my PhD, I had my first baby. Interestingly enough, I thought I was ready to have a baby, PhD in psychology. I could deal with all the emotions and ups and downs of having a baby. And 1 year later, I had my second baby. So I had two small babies at home, living in a different country with no support, with no parents, with nobody around me. My husband traveling a lot, and I started to feel very overwhelmed. And then my third baby came, and things got even worse emotionally. And I was like, I think I'm kind of getting stressed out here. How can I put in practice my psychology? I was not able to really put in practice. And one day, not that that happened just one day, but one day I had a breakdown. I start screaming with my middle child because she did something with my youngest. And I was shaking her and said, why did you do that? And believe me, that was not the first time that happened, many times have, but that specific day, I really, and I remember vividly my middle child looking at me, and I saw fear in her eyes. I saw that, she was like, Mom, I'm sorry. And I said, why? And I was screaming, day I was tired, I was exhausted, and the day went on, and at night, I still vividly remembered her eyes, her fear, her frustration. And I asked myself, you have a PhD, you studied everything about child development. Who are you? Why are you dealing with that in such a way that your own child has this fear towards you, right? What type of mother are you? So on that day, I realized that I didn't know anything about emotional literacy, or, how can I really put in practice everything that I learned? And me with this PhD knew nothing about psychology, nothing about being practical. I knew the theory. And believe me, I was a teacher. I was actually teaching teachers. I was already like a professor. So what else should I learn? Right? And the frustration. And I got really depressed. Those years, I was like, I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good professor. I'm not a good psychologist. How can I teach something to the world if I cannot really put in practice what I believe? Right. And from that day on, which was the darkest days in my life, which I really got depressed. And even my middle child, she really got depressed, I think, together with me. Um, I realized we don't know how to develop emotional intelligence. What is that? How can we become emotional intelligent? And I start, studying books and books, and there is nothing out there that really teaches how to. How can I become? Oh, you have to be mindful. How can I be mindful? Oh, you have to be grateful. How can I do that? What are these skills? What? And I was desperately looking for that answer. And I realized there is nothing out there that really teaches us. And the more research I did, the more I realized how much we needed that skill, right? And at that time, I was a reading specialist, right? I taught many kids who were struggling at school to become literate. And then I created this correlation between reading literacy and emotional literacy. Those are skills we need to teach our kids. We're not born knowing how to become emotional literate. We as parents, we have those kids that we get overwhelmed and nobody teaches us how we can handle our emotions, even worse, how to teach our kids to handle their emotions. And now we have this world that is even worse. When I start asking parents or kids, who is your role model when it comes to emotional literacy or emotional intelligence? Who is a person? Sometimes we ask, oh, we have models of people who are very smart. Oh, this person's so smart. We have models of teachers who taught us how to read. Oh, she's a great reader. I love reading because of this teacher. And I have my teacher who embraced reading in such a way that I love reading because of those teachers. Now, I ask you guys, who is your role model when it comes to emotional literacy? Who is our kids' role model when it comes to emotional literacy? We don't have them. I think 99.9 of the time I ask, either a person comes with Mother Teresa or Gandhi, those like,
Yes.
okay, they are so far away from my reality, right? That it's an impossible mission to become like them. So why is it something so far away from our real world? Do I have to become Mother Teresa to become emotional literate? this is, imagine a world where we have more EQ, people who really have those EQ, right? We would have a much better world. So that's my mission. So I wrote a book, and actually, I'm publishing this book this month, which is a very important month, which is May, Mental Health Awareness Month,
Mhm.
where kids, more and more kids are struggling with that, that teaches the ABCs of emotional literacy. Because throughout my research, I finally combining neuropsychology, nutrition psychology, energy psychology, the complexity of emotional literacy. And the beauty is, I don't know if you guys know, there are three parts in our body that needs to communicate constantly if we want to become emotional literate. Not only the brain. Do you guys have any idea of who are those or what are those parts? Have you ever heard about them? Anybody would like to participate? What are the triology of, and that's my insight that nobody talks about. Anybody would like to guess?
Well, would you be your heart and your mind would be the
And your
logical
gut.
ones, and your gut. Yeah. No?
Almost, yeah. So we have
Mhm.
the gut, right?
Mhm.
So we have the gut-brain axis because there is more communication between your gut to the brain than the brain to the gut.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So the gut and emotional literacy is so crucial. So we have the gut, and then we have the amygdala, which is, of course, the fire, where the fireworks happens when it comes to emotion, right? Everything goes to the amygdala. Amygdala is firing emotions all the time. You feel emotions 100% of the time throughout the day, right? And then we have the frontal lobe where we rationalize, right? But the only way for you to rationalize accurately is when you connect your gut to the amygdala to the frontal lobe. If there is no connection between them, or if you eat a lot of food that triggers anger, which there are foods that makes you angry, right? It's going to disrupt the communication between the amygdala and the frontal lobe, believe it or not. So to see this complexity, to understand that by breathing, you are stimulating your guts to communicate with the amygdala and to slow down and say, amygdala, I need some time to talk to the frontal lobe. Let's provide oxygen. Oxygen provide us, this calming, this peaceful way for us to make a decision. So that's what I studied, and there's nothing out there. So that's my passion, that's why I'm here, and that's my mission.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. So I have a question for you because you still have about 5 minutes. So
Okay.
tell us a little more about what you are offering out there inside of your services. How can people connect to you to be able to work inside of this, what you're sharing with everyone, how important this is, how, what are you offering? What kind of services do you have?
Yes. So what I do, my mission is really to teach how we can increase this communication between this triangular shape, right?
Mhm.
And to understand, there is a lot of correlation between reading. For you to become a good reader, what you need to have vocabulary, right? It's really important for you to have this oral exposure. The more vocabulary you have, the harder books you're going to be able to read. It's exactly the same thing with emotional literacy. Now, we don't teach kids the vocabulary express our emotions. And this is crucial because our frontal lobe is very, very rational, right? Everybody knows. So for the amygdala to communicate to the frontal lobe, we have to put words into it.
Mhm.
And look how interesting. I've done a research asking parents and kids and adults, 60, 70, 80 years old, can you talk? What are you feeling? Just tell me what are the vocabulary that you have, words that you have to express feelings. It's so limited. Usually we say angry, sad, or exhausted, frustrated, stress, which stress is not really a feeling, it's a combination of different feelings. I can feel stress, but and Carol could be stressed, but our emotions could be very different. I have 3 young kids. I can be stressed because of them, right? So understanding first part is teaching the vocabulary to the kids so we can communicate. So I created games. And so my book has a lot of activities. The first part is the acknowledgement phase to understand. So I have not only the books, but I have also games that really stimulates the literacy development. What words? Beyond saying I'm frustrated, how your body feels. So also connecting your frustration, your angriness. How are you feeling? Oh, my heart is beating faster, right? Or I'm fearful. I have butterfly on my stomach, right? There is connecting with the gut. It's much easier for you to become literate because you're now knowing that it happens throughout your body. It's not only here. You can have headaches as well when you're very stressed, but usually your headaches, what are you going to be eating to alleviate your headaches? Or maybe it's just lack of water to provide more oxygen or the blood flowing, right? So once we teach our kids that there is emotions, there are names, right? And teaching and there is a basic emotions, just like the ABCs. We teach reading some small vocabulary words, and then we increase. For emotions is the same thing. We start with 6, which is the basic emotions, but then we can grow to 3,000. We have 3,000 names of emotions. And I doubt you guys, if I ask you guys, give you 1 minute, can you write down all the emotions or feelings that you probably is going to be 20, 30, and then we get
Mhm.
stuck on those 30, right? We have 3,000. The more specific we are, even in psychology, if you go to therapy, we talk about I'm angry. What type of anger? Sometimes it's not only angry. Inside this angriness, there is so many other different feelings that we have a hard time expressing. The more literate we become when it comes to emotion, the easier it is for us to really deal with the cause and what is causing throughout your body. Maybe it's a stomach ache that never
Hmm.
goes away, or a headache, or even shoulder pain, right? So this is one of the parts that I teach on my book, created games, which is also to stimulate neuroplasticity, stimulate your brain. Everything goes together, and food as well.
So
Wow. Cool.
amazing. So amazing.
Oh, that is so
I'm
cool.
going to be looking for your book. It sounds, I'm a reader. I love to read. I got my first library card at 6. So I'm a reader, and I was in the spelling bee for many years. So, and debate. So but I had a mother that she was a writer, and she believed in us reading early. And
Yes.
I still remember going to the library the first time, and I had 12 books that I came to the desk with. And she goes, "Oh, honey, you'll never be able to read those in the time that you get to check them out." And I said, "Oh, yes, I will."
I
I love
will.
reading. So, yeah. So, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this with many of our listeners that are going to be hearing this. Okay, so guys, who has questions? Alina, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very, very much, Dr. Karla. I really love your energy. And
Thank you.
yes, and it's very interesting and fascinating, and I feel your passion. We also share some passions because I'm also a lover of dancing. So, yes, I worked as the instructor of ballroom dancing, salsa, and other dances. So yes, this is what we share. And education, of course, education. I worked as a teacher for several years at school. But what I wanted to say is that I do admire you being enough brave in the past to confront the truth. Yes, this breaking point, that the moment that you understood you studied a lot and there is nothing in your practical way of raising your children, and that's, I think that's very important for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has this moment, so you are really brave to just stop and think how to change the situation. But I wanted to ask now, when you are already an author of the book and you just studied it so for such a long time and so well, how did you uh, implement what you discovered in your parenting?
Yeah, good
Mhm.
point. Good point.
Great question. Great question. So, it is a hard process to do the acknowledgement. So just to give the framework of my methodology is the ABCD methodology. The A is the acknowledgement, paying attention to your feelings, right? B is to be in charge. So first you need to acknowledge before you can use your frontal lobe. C is communication. You can only communicate once you know that you your feelings, whatever led you to do whatever you did. And D, to do things differently, you really need to communicate, right? So this is what I do on my book. So the acknowledgement phase is so hard because when I start implementing, I did not have, and I still am working on the vocabulary for years. And when I started writing the book, I was almost 40 years old. I was actually more than 40 years old, actually. So imagine 40 years in my life. I had a parent, my father was military, so we were not able to express our feelings. Actually, you were only allowed to show that you're happy because you have a house, you have food, and that's it, right? My mother also, everybody's happy, let's be happy. And she was a very happy person. And now I realize that she was not, right? Because, that's how she was raised. Everybody's really happy. We need to be happy,
Yeah.
and and whenever I complained in my house, I was like, look, and my brother really learned to be quiet and happy. And whenever I complained, I was always this rebel. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not happy. Shh, Carla, don't say anything. Like, why are you always the rebel? Why are you complaining? Why are you sad? And even when I was, as a mother, stressed out, because my family is from Brazil, just to contextualize, from the Northeast, very macho. The woman has to do everything, clean the house, cook from scratch, which I love cooking, don't get me wrong, and doing a PhD and study. Da, da, da. Sometimes I was, Mom, I'm tired. I have two young babies. I need to go. You need to take care of your husband. Otherwise, he's gonna
Yeah.
leave you. You're gonna get divorced. No, don't get,
Mm.
I love my husband. I am still with him forever. He's my, love.
Good.
But
Good.
the pressure of you, like,
Pressure.
I am overwhelmed. It's no, 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 no. Don't ever show it to your husband. Always be beautiful, ready to go to the bed, So
Oh,
it's like, come on.
yeah.
So for me to learn those vocabulary, for me, it's still very hard
Mhm.
because sometimes, and the thing is, I'm teaching my kids to also tell Mom, you need your time.
Mm.
Mom, you are like, and sometimes for parents, it's really hard to tell, like, and sometimes my kids say, Mom, I think you're stressed out. Go for a walk, go breathe, right? Drink some water. because, and I
Right.
tell them, yeah, I am stressed today. Like I need because I'm a human being. We are not perfect. We are in progress. And sometimes they say, oh, you're writing those books. And, do you tell people that you're perfect? I said, no, honey, I don't. I'm not perfect. So letting my audience or even teachers or kids that I also feel overwhelmed. And sometimes I have no idea why. Uh, it could be hormones, but letting my kids know that they have this flexibility
Yeah.
or openness to tell mom, I don't think you're okay today, right? And sometimes I say, yeah, so leave me alone a little bit. Don't
I,
communicate,
I
right?
love it.
So,
Transparency,
yeah,
authenticity.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah.
I love that. Okay, we have two more people, and guys, you have to make it short. Maria, go
Yeah.
ahead. She has a question. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. Uh, if a child is not able to express itself, where do you start when the parent says, "Why did you do that?" And they just sit there. They can't actually say why they did it. Where do you start? Is
yeah.
that with the ABCD?
So the why is very hard because why is really rationalizing. The first step is what are you feeling? Because the why, you really need to use the frontal lobe. And if you don't even know how to communicate what I'm feeling, how can I understand why, right? I'm doing this. So that's why the first step is really acknowledging. And it's really hard to acknowledge because we live in a society of victimism. Oh, I hit Jackie because she made me hit her. No, she does not have the power to make you do anything. Like
Mhm.
parents, I would love to make my kids happy all the time. I don't have this power. Sometimes I have more the power to make them angry, but I said, we cannot make you anything, right? So acknowledgement is the very first step. Teaching vocabulary is crucial before I can understand why I'm doing something, right? Because why you're stimulating the frontal lobe that they are like, I don't know. If you don't tell why, it's like going into a road without the end. So why you did that, and the frontal lobe was like, why I did what? And then I tend to blame you. Oh, you are the one who
Oh
made
yeah.
me.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Chinray has a question for you. Go ahead, Chinray.
Yes, thank you so much. So as as a student of occupational psychology and an elected board member, which is education dealing with kids, I am really amazed by the mention of frontal lobe because that is not a word we hear all the time because that is your cognitive function. And it's amazing how we can connect the children's our ability to communicate with the kids and to be able to take a step back, which is what we are lacking in educational setting because oftentimes we are too easy to suspend kids and not really listening to them and hearing them out. But as a parent, for you to take that step back and realize that, wait a minute, what am I doing? And now I'm going to take that action and put it into a book. So, what is your takeaway or what do you bring to the table when we have so much suspension in schools because we're not understanding what these kids are going through? So, as a board member, how do I look at these functions and then now be able to guide teachers better to be able to address our kids based on their behaviors?
Mm,
Good
Exactly.
question.
So
great
again,
question.
yeah, this is a great question. I've been to thousands of schools and actually I opened my own school in Hawaii. The biggest mistake in schools nowadays is they go into the C mode already. Communication. Tell John you're sorry. Tell Maria you're sorry. And what happens, they're gonna do the same thing over and over again because they don't know the why, and we don't care about what is triggering them. There's no acknowledgement. There is no. So
Mm,
kids, again, the lack of vocabulary when it comes to emotion is crucial if we want to do things differently. The
Mm,
D only comes after I acknowledge. We don't pay attention to our kids, we don't acknowledge where they are
mm,
emotionally. If we don't do that, things are going to happen over and over and over. There is no way to do things differently if there is no acknowledgement.
Wow.
There's no attention. Me towards the kids and the kids towards themselves, because we need to create this idea that you are responsible for yourself. So whenever I do anger resolution and the kids, okay, why are, if we ask, why are you doing that? I always tell the kids, start with the word I, don't use Maria, don't use John, don't use, you made this choice. And it's so hard. And I do that with kids as early as 3 and 4. Oh, I did that because John, no, don't use John. You did that because, and then they have to find out the vocabulary. Oh, I was angry. Okay, what? So tell me. And then they have to look for emotions. We force them to look for emotions. Okay, why did you? And then the why, but before the why, they have to look for what triggered them. What triggered them are emotions. Emotions are energy. That, angerness is a very strong energy that we need to, okay, how can I control this such, it's like a tornado coming. How can I control, right? Instead of become victims of our society. So again, enhancing this communication of I have choice, I have power, I am empowered, I have feelings and I control them. Nobody controls me. Imagine a world where kids can really see that they are empowered. They are not telling I'm sorry because Miss Annie told them to say I'm sorry. I'm going to say I'm sorry whenever I want to say I'm sorry. Right? And sometimes I'm not ready right now. And I tell my kids, I'm not ready right now to say I'm sorry, and that's okay. There is no acknowledgement. I don't want you to communicate something that you don't feel sorry.
I mean, yes.
Wow.
Which actually, on average, 80% of the sorry, when we say, we don't mean it. 80%.
Right. Exactly.
We don't mean
We
it.
just do it because somebody told us to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So, Dr. Karla, I have one last question for you, and that's this. Are you planning to write a children's book? Inside, I see it. I so see you writing a children's book where they can actually understand the language of their emotions, their feelings, all of it. If we can educate them young, they will have this in their earlier teens and into high school. And what a difference it would make for so many. So I beg you, write a book for young children to get.
Yeah, actually, I have. It comes together with the bundle. I have the children's book. Already.
Been there, done that.
Oh my goodness. I run a youth empowerment program from the ages of 12 to 17. I will be sharing that book with them. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yes. We got to give them the language to be able to communicate. Oh, love it.
Yes.
So
I'll share
love
with
it.
you guys for sure.
What an amazing episode once again, guys. Guys, wow. If you love these episodes, please share them with people so they get out to many people. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please reach out to one of our hosts here. We're all over LinkedIn. You have a story, we want to hear it. Okay, and many will benefit from it. Thank you, Dr. Karla, for coming and sharing something really amazing. And I hope so many people listen to this too, because you just opened the door around parenting in a whole new direction, a whole new light. And that is really and truly having a language and a way to communicate with their kids that works. So, guys, please come and join us for these episodes, okay? And we would love to hear your story if you'd like to be our guest. One more thing. We all deserve to thrive. Let's do it together. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Instead of this war,